Welcome to the Hanford Dixon Show with the top dog himself, Hanford. Alongside former NFL coach and Super Bowl champ, Gregg Williams.
Hello, hello.
So, guys, we had a little bye week. How did you enjoy it?
Well, I thought I was trying to find something to do, guys. Coach, when we don't have a game, it's kind of weird. I mean, obviously we're going to watch a lot of football, but still we're used to being right where the action was. And I was trying to find something to do. What about you?
Big thing is that all of a sudden we have the break of a routine. Got to try to do something else to stay occupied and in our minds and everything. So I watched as many college games as I could on Saturday and every game that I could on Sunday. So I stayed as active as I could.
Let me ask you a question. When you watch those games, because sometimes I watch a lot of those games that I can feel the feel or the flow of the game, and then I could tell how the game is going to end up. Like, for instance, I was watching the Alabama game. And how did you know I was going to say Alabama Gap?
You Bama boy. I knew. I thought you were going to sing too.
Well, you told me not to sing unless I sing with you, and so I'll leave that alone. But anyway, Coach, I was looking at the Alabama game, and I just didn't like the flow of that game, and it just seemed like Texas A&M was starting to gain momentum on them, and I can kind of feel when it's changing like that. Do you get that feel sometimes during the course? Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. And you're trying to play the game and call the game and compete in the game, even though I'm watching it on TV. And, Nick and I go way back. And I was the same thing on that game.
Any of the college games jump off the bat for you that surprised you a little bit? Or
No, not that much. It was really good, though, and enjoyed watching all of them. I also like just watching a lot of the things that they're still trying to do at that level that doesn't work at the National Football League level. They're trying to do as much finesse as they can instead of, getting on the line of scrimmage and getting all that stuff done. So I do enjoy that.
For all you Georgia fans, so don't worry. You look like Georgia got on track, and then we have to talk about Ohio State. Obviously, Ohio State got rolling later on in the ball game, so that was a big win. But guys, I had a good weekend. I had a good morning. I got up and got my workout in, an hour on the elliptical.
Did.
And
tell the people about your workout, because I know how religious you are.
I am.
He gets it 6 days out of the week.
I just have to have it, and I get on that elliptical and I go an hour, and then I'll lift 4 days out of the week, and I don't lift heavy anything anymore. I just do like a little bench press and just some stuff just to stay toned. And then obviously after that, I have to go to the steam room because I get it. And you know what I do? I wear my sweat jacket. I'm old school, so I still wear my sweat jacket in the steam room, and people look at me. They think that I'm crazy when I walk in there with that sweat jacket on. But Coach, I'm old school. That's what we do.
I'm old school, and I wear that sweat jacket. Everybody has told me all these years to stop doing that, and I try to do 6 days a week the same thing. I do a high-intensity core, upper and lower body calisthenics, and then do a cardio walk when I can, do all those type of things too. But I wear that sweat jacket, and I know unless I am rolling in sweat, I haven't done anything.
Oh, yeah. No, I have PTSD from college because I had coaches, if I showed up to practice in shorts without pants on, turn around, go home.
Well, Gab, you're a track. You like track, don't you?
I did, or I do.
Okay.
I do. I ran track, but I also still appreciate it.
And you still run a lot now?
I still run a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably more than you, Hanford.
Well, I believe that now. I believe that because, I think you're about 6 miles sometimes when you get out there.
Oh, yeah. I hit the trails this weekend. We have the Cuyahoga Valley National Park and the Metro Parks in our backyard. It's so beautiful. So I get out there. This is good running weather for us.
All right.
I think it's really good to do that. It's a calming thing. And when I say that with a grin on my face, is that the players can always tell if I've worked out that day or not because I've been grouchier than normal. And they'll make sure you need to work out before you come to the meetings today, Coach.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about meetings coming up because of the Browns. They're going to have a big meeting because we got the 49ers coming up. So we'll do a preview coming up right after this. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show with the top dog himself, and we've got Gregg Williams in studio once again. We're also joined by his son, Blake Williams, to give us a little around the AFC North recap, if you will. Before we get into previewing the Browns, of course, our meat and potatoes, let's take a look at how some of these AFC North teams did around the league. You guys watched some games over the weekend. Steelers, how about the Steelers-Ravens game? This is, guys, I'm ashamed to admit, but I did a little betting with Tipico, and and I was pulling for the Steelers. Like I'm so relieved that Pickens, was it Pickens who got the yes. He got me $35.
Did
okay?
he?
Congrats.
Yeah, we have to tell Blake and Coach. I think you guys would agree with me on this. We got to tell Gab if she's going to bet, she's got to get that up a little bit.
Oh yeah,
she's talking about he won you $35. Come on.
Yeah, it was a $10 bet that hit 45, so I was happy with that. Listen, I'm not a big risk taker. I'll lose it all. I know my luck.
Well, as long as you didn't lose anything, you're okay. You know what, guys? Blake, I see you with that smile on your face over there, but looking at this AFC North, looking at this game, let's jump off. I think the first one, Gab, is the Steelers and the Ravens.
Oof, and
I am shocked, guys. I mean, totally shocked. The Ravens gave that game away.
I agree. You know, I mean, the things that I was thinking about yesterday as I was watching it, first and foremost, is just having experienced it. Right, wrong, or indifferent, Pittsburgh is just different at home. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh is different at home. Even when we've played them and not had very good teams comparatively, and maybe like barely lost or tied them, say even here at Cleveland, but you go in there and it's totally different. And then maybe played them before with teams that are superior teams and just waxed them, you know, at home, wherever we were at. But you play them there and they're different, not only from the crowd standpoint, but I just think tough, hard-nosed, and, you know, they kind of just they operate, you know, I feel like just differently at home. For what, I don't know if you experienced that, G-Dub, or whatever, but just very few mistakes, and they let you make the mistakes. They let you mess it up and whatnot. And I feel like they're always capitalizing somehow, some way on those big defensive plays. You know,
I agree with you on that, and I do believe this. There's no doubt in my mind that Mike Tomlin had a come-to-Jesus moment with a lot of those young men and how they're going to go about playing. They got 4 takeaways on defense. Anytime you do that, and scored on defense, anytime you do that, the Sack brothers were rolling, okay, and making sure that Lamar was uncomfortable. And again, you know, Lamar turned the ball over a couple more times. You know, he's leading the league, I think, right now in fumbles himself. And those type of things are hard to overcome and win games, especially when you're on the road. And I think the Steelers, you know, did what they needed to do to win.
Well, I think you guys have to agree with me on this. I mean, sure, the Steelers played well. Sure, they're hard to beat at home. But let's look at this thing. I mean, guys, Lamar, for instance, his receivers let him down. I mean, they let him down. I mean, they dropped a lot of balls. I'm talking about, look.
I think they had 8 drops.
Yeah, and Coach, here's what I say. I can get the feeling of a game is going the wrong way. Did you see the one particular play when Lamar was scrambling? Threw the ball, I think it was the young kid got behind the defense, and he's wide open, getting ready to catch the ball, and what happens? He falls down. I mean, no one pushed him down.
No one pushed him down, no, and that's what you're thinking about, the fields and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think another one went right through somebody's hands.
Yep.
Yeah,
like it was. They replayed it 3 times. I'm like, ooh, that's tough to
watch. It was a walk-in touchdown. Went through his hands.
I mean, it's just crazy, the things that, how things just happened during the course of that ball game to keep the Ravens from winning that game.
Interceptions in the end zone.
Oh, yeah.
The whole debacle at the end of the first half, not taking the points and getting the points.
That's exactly right.
So, I mean, there was so many of those little things. You know, I guess the second place my mind went in it is you sit there and you say, you know, those were our two worst losses. You know, those are our only 2. But, you know, this season, but you look at it and you sit there and say, okay, well, and now we're we're one game out potentially of being tied for first, and neither of those two teams are really separating themselves, right? And so I mean, it's a jam packed, because you looked at it and it was a rough game. I mean, by both teams. Like some team had to win, but both teams were trying to give it away.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Like you mentioned, that interception in the end zone. Obviously, Lamar, that was a terrible throw by Lamar. There was a terrible throw. I think it was a terrible call, too. I mean, in that situation of the ball game. First of all, if you're going to run that play, shouldn't you, instead of being in a shotgun, that's pretty much a timing pattern. The wide receiver's got to delay that route a little bit to the outside, and the quarterback can't throw it now. Even if Lamar throws that football, he's got to throw it where his guy gets it or no one else get a hold of that football. Just things like that during the course of the game.
No doubt about it, and it makes me smile when I hear you talk about the over shotgun crap. Okay, I get so sick and tired of people not having the quarterback get up under the center and control the rhythm of the play. Okay, and again, that was one of the things I did quite a bit with Baker, when I was here with Baker, and all of a sudden his rhythm got into flow because of that. Crazy stuff, and Steelers pulled it out.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Sometimes I think coaches are too smart for their own good. And what I mean by this, in one particular, you have to take the points at certain times, especially in a ball game like that game yesterday. You could tell points were hard to come by. And you don't outsmart yourself on fourth down and not take the points, I think.
And he has to put up with me yelling at the house watching it because I'm yelling. I'm arguing with the screen on that and other time management stupid stuff. Oh my gosh!
You thought it was the film room because we're sitting there. It's going to halftime. We're sitting there rewinding it.
Yeah.
We're trying to tell, was it supposed to be a no-brainer freeze? Was that ball actually supposed to be snapped? Did they make a mistake and snap it, and then all of a sudden trying to make something out of it, or were they just trying to draw them all sides? And we were going back and forth watching it over and over again. I thought we were in the film room rewinding, going back, and we said, "Oh, okay, you can't have that one. It's gonna come back to haunt you."
Well, let me tell you guys this. I was sitting there. I was watching that game. I did normally. Ozzy and I we would text and we'll talk back and forth through the game and after the game, and I didn't even bother him because I know he was just down. And guys, let me tell you this too. I wrote down the corner's name. I think it was the right corner. A couple of tackles. Who's teaching these guys to tackle? I mean, did you see him? I mean, he actually closed his eyes on a couple of. I mean, here he is with his eyes.
Were you talking about Humphrey?
Well, no, this wasn't Humphrey. That's another story,
that's
Coach.
Another one.
That's another story. But he's got his eyes closed and he's going like the guy jumps over him. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. You got to make that tackle. I mean, but Gab, I'm sorry.
How much for lessons? On
my
the tackling.
Goodness, I'm sorry, Gab. We went long. Go ahead.
That's okay. Real quick, let's just do Bengals Cardinals. Did you guys catch that game? Bengals 34, Cardinals 20. Burrow 36 for 46, 317 yards, 3 touchdowns and an interception. Chase 15 catches, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, that it was it was Chase 21, the other one's 20. So at what point in time do you double cover them? I go back to our old days.
Oh no,
we were arguing about that. At what time do you go ahead and double cover the cat? Okay,
we've had times where we were in games with like Megatron, and people joke about this, where we literally took 2 DBs and lined them up in double press like we were on punt
Vice.
team, and we called it Vice.
Yeah.
We're like,
Vice.
You're literally pre-snap. He's not getting off the ball. Pre-snap, we're telling you go someplace else, but do not go to this guy.
Yep.
You beat us someplace
but
else.
not there.
Not that. I mean, he outscored
we're
them all by
playing
himself.
defense, and it looks like we're on punt return team because we're up there saying you are not going to throw it to this guy. And at what time we were arguing about that, watching that yesterday too.
And you know what's funny? Because he came out, and obviously we all know this. He came out and he said, "Hey, I'm always open. I'm always open."
7-Eleven.
Boy, did he prove it yesterday. I mean, he was
did.
always open. Big game.
And Burrow was more mobile. He actually even ran for a couple of first downs, and you could see that mobility, the comfort there for him. But that was a big step for them to get into that thing because it was a fist fight early on, and then the Bengals took it over and ran away with it.
Well, whenever I'll go back to the Ravens and the Steelers, whenever those two teams play each other, you don't want either one of those teams to win the football game. But when you look at it now now that the Ravens lost that game, looking at the AFC North, that brings everybody back into the fold right now, talking about the Steelers. Guys, the AFC North. Can you believe the Steelers are in first place?
I know.
In the AFC
I know.
North? Is that crazy or what?
It is. It really is.
We were just talking about Chase with the 3 touchdowns. George Kittle also had 3 touchdowns and will be taking on the 49ers next week. So we got to do our preview. So save some of your comments.
You got
I know
it.
You're Miss Chatty Cathy
You
over here.
got it.
We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show with the top dog.
I'm not barking.
Okay, fine. You only do it once a show. That's fine. And Gregg Williams here. I'm getting an extra bonus vocal out of you today. We're also joined by Blake Williams. Always appreciate your input here. Chatting a little football as the Browns look ahead to the San Fransisco 49ers, who are looking real dominant right now. Did you guys watch their game this weekend?
You know what I did, and it's scary. I mean, watching those guys it's really, really scary, and that's why I'm so happy I'm sitting here with 2 defensive mind coaches, so I can pick their brains. And Coach, I'm really coming after you right now. I mean, you got Brock Purdy, you got God. We don't even talk about the head coach in that tree. I'm thinking you're familiar with that with the old man and the son. And Coach, how do you stop these guys? I mean, what do you do with this offense?
And I'm very close friends with John Lynch too, and I think John and Kyle have done a very good job of assimilating some severe threats. I mean, they've got some very talented offensive players, and then Kyle does a very, very good job, just like his dad Mike, all those years of learning how to formation things, how to get defensive tells on what's going on the other side of the ball, and making it simpler for the quarterback in so many ways on zone, man, pressure, where it's coming from. McCaffrey right now is a freak. And he not only is he able to run the football, but he is a dominant pass threat that you got to be careful on when you're matching him up with a linebacker. And you're going to have to go to DBs to cover him too. And in all the different formations, where they put that mismatch on you on defense, they've done a very, very good job, offensively to put those points on the board. But their defense. Holy cow, are they playing?
How can the Browns defense slow down that high-flying offense? Because, let's see, 49ers have scored at least 30 in every game this year. They've scored the second most points per game this year, but Browns have allowed the fewest points per game this year, 15. What does our defense got to do?
Well, I think we all agree they can't come out and play like they played the last game that we had against Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore was able to just run the football on them. And we know this football team, Blake, has got McCaffrey. And not only is he a threat running the football, but also coming out of the backfield, catching it. And then sometimes they take Deebo Samuel, they take him and put him. You never know where they're going to line him up. So, Blake, this defense got its hand full.
No doubt. And the funny thing about it is, not to be off topic, but the two most similar defenses in the league are San Fran's defense and here. Right. And so, I mean, so much of the San Fran's defense is off of the Jim Schwartz, Jim Washburn, with Chris Kosurik and Tree, there.
Chris and Jim coach together.
But the biggest thing you have to do, in my opinion, I haven't gone against this offense a ton of times, is you have to compress space. You have to compress time and space. And so if you are going to try to play just gap-oriented football and feather the force, especially on the edge, try to say I'm fitting this block versus attack it and compress that space and make it like a pile of bodies, an accordion of bodies, then Kyle is getting exactly what he wants. I mean, that's what he's doing. He manipulate, and Mike McDaniel down there, in Miami, we see him doing the same thing from their time together, but he manipulates the specific little alley and the specific little space he wants to hit. And then he just watches for little bitty things, which is he'll be watching for, when all of a sudden they shift to man, like you saw last night.
Yeah.
And now he's going to run the little flea flicker, mess with your eyes because you're worried about stopping the run. Or he'll watch for this one little thing on the backside where I'm going to keep calling this until this guy starts cheating it or playing with bad technique. And now I'm going to call this constraint play off of it, and it's going to be a huge play. But that's what you have to do, is you have to knock back, but on the edges better than we did in Baltimore. Baltimore is we were going to have to collapse that and go and not wait on it and go collapse it and collapse that lane. Otherwise, like they're looking at that, salivating some of those lanes on the outside of those gap schemes that hit us in Baltimore.
Yeah, we like to play fast, and Coach, I don't know. Is that a good idea, or what do we do?
That's a really good idea. And Blake, and what he was talking about restricting space, you were on the staff with me when I came up with the double corner blitz that we called Chucky. Here comes Chucky, because we're going to replace and go right now, restrict a space and find out how tough you are, not how fast you are. And those are going to be some things that Jim, he's been a part of that too, that Jim Schwartz is going to have to make the game be 26 yards wide on the field. Don't let it be 52 and a quarter yards, 52 and a third yards wide out there. Okay, have to play the whole field, especially in the run and the pass game. This is going to be a very interesting dynamic for me to see. He's had a week off also. There could be some new wrinkles, especially from the pressures things that Jim has been doing that will come into this game that will affect Brock Purdy a little bit on some of the disguises and the pre-snap going to post-snap type things. But they're going to have to restrict space and make this be a fist fight in an alley over a great big wide field.
Are you guys surprised? I mean, talking about Brock Purdy, are you surprised how well he's playing right now? Because, I mean, coming out of college, I mean, we all thought that he was a Mr. Irrelevant, and we all thought he was a decent quarterback. But, I mean, to play at this level, I mean, does that have something to do with Kyle?
Well, first of all, it has a ton to do with Kyle.
It has
I mean,
a ton.
he is a phenomenal football coach. And there's levels in coaching in the NFL, like there's levels in playing talent. Like we don't talk about that enough, but it just clearly is. I mean, there are some people who are just okay, some people who they have the elite athletes, right, that are making them better coaches, and then some people who are elite and can make it. And I think it's that marriage between the two. But if you look at it's not too big for him, how he processes things, how he handles things when things break down, how he handles things when like bad stuff happens. Like you see that stuff that you've seen. Like I'm not going to put other stuff on him, but like the Drew Brees, some of those people that we've been around, where he's highly accurate. He knows where to go with the ball before the snap. He knows exactly how the play is supposed to work, right, and does the exact right timing, all of those things, where now when you have somebody scheming it up like Kyle and his staff, you've got that. Now, one thing I will say on this, though, is go back, like the one game we saw him not do well on, the only game he's lost is the game he got injured, right? And again, at that time in Philly, in the playoffs last year, again, this is the most similar defense, both in scheme and in technique, that he's seen besides his own defense in practice and that Philly defense in the playoffs last year. So if they can, keep them from running the ball on early downs, like we have the ability in the coverage and the rush to give them the issues from the wide nine with all these play action pass and thinking you're going to bring a guy back over here. You're going to bring a tight end or a puller back across and block Myles Garrett on play action pass. No, he's going to beat it there, just like we saw like Hassan Riddick and those guys do in the playoffs last year. But we can't let him run the ball on first down.
Yeah, I was super impressed with how comfortable he looked, because I think you can tell a lot by body language too when people play, and the confidence and just collectedness he showed, I was pretty impressed with. Kind of like you said, just, when things go bad, when things go right, being able to keep that level head and still be accurate is really important. We're going to need Deshaun to be accurate. First of all, hopefully he's playing, because I think he was out for practice today.
Yeah.
What's Deshaun going to need to do to give us a Browns win?
Well, first thing you need to do, you need to show up. I mean, he needs to play, because, I think this whole thing that happened was just weird, the way everything came down, because obviously he was cleared to play, and they said they watched him throw in before the game, and then said that there was no way he could play. He came and said he can't play. But, as a player, I know you would have to drag me off of that field when it's time to play. Even if I had a pulled hamstring on the corner, I'm taping that thing up, and if I can run, I'm ready to go. And hopefully I don't re-injure the thing. But still, I want to play, because you got to get out there and you got to help your teammates. Coach, I got a quick question for you.
You make me smile when you talk about that because that's how we grew up.
Yeah.
That's how we played. And the whole thing is if you can walk, if you can throw it 5 feet, go play.
You got to go.
Go play.
Were you surprised yesterday, Coach, looking at that game yesterday, San Francisco playing the Dallas Cowboys, were you surprised how easily they handled the Cowboys?
Yeah, I really was. And I will tell you this, too, just what Gab said. When you take a look at the pressure in the game, Brock was under more pressure, more faster time that he had to play that game than Dak, okay? But yet he protected the football. Yet he understood exactly where it was going because Kyle had planned things that we talked about last week that didn't go very well for DTR. Kyle planned things that Brock can do. Not what he wants to call, but what Brock can do, and had answers for all that type of stuff. That will be the next step here. Can we kind of divert Brock from making rhythm-type plays? Because he fought through the pressure last night better than Dak Prescott did for the Cowboys, and that's what won the game for them on offense was how he handled their offense.
Yep, I'll say this. DTR, I mean, obviously, I think this kid has a bright future, but if Deshaun doesn't play, it could be a long, long afternoon for us.
It could be. And, like Coach said, you'd hope that we'd learn from the first time we used him and make some adjustments specifically for him. But I'm hoping Deshaun plays, to be honest. I'm hoping we see him. How about besides Deshaun, who's one Browns offensive player we need to see step up?
We have to run the ball. I'm just letting you know right now, if you cannot run the ball and manage the first down to get down into more manageable third down things, that front that they have over there at the 49ers is going to wreak havoc on you on third downs and second and longs. They have to be able to do a much better job this week running the ball and managing the down and distances.
Coach, how good is Fred Warner? Their linebacker. I mean, he is just Blake. Is he something else?
We talked a long time the other day about it.
I pounded the table for him when I was here coaching the linebackers. And if you remember back at that time, the Schoberts, the young Schoberts, the young Kirkos, the Jamie Collins, we had some athletic guys that were also big time up here. So if you had to have a guy that's going to come in to think you're going to develop and compete with that, they had to be rare. And you could tell he had it up here. He had the captainship, but then he was a elite athlete, like a big time athlete. So I knew he was going to be a great one.
We went back over the scouting report, watching him play yet last night. Yep. We went over it. I said, "Tell me that scouting report again." Were you dead on knowing exactly about that young man? That's what we talked about last night.
Always breaking it down. Thanks for our coaches corner, you guys, and all of your science. And I mean, you've got the football mind. You know what I mean? It's great to hear from you. We want to hear more when we come back right after this with our betting segment. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show with the Top Dog. We're joined by Gregg Williams and Blake Williams. And we're going to start with our betting segment, Browns versus 49ers. We did a little bit of a breakdown with our wonderful football minds in here. 49ers are averaging 33.4 points per game and allowing 13.6. Browns averaging 19 points per game and allowing 15. What do you think on the over-under of 40?
Go ahead, Blake.
I'm going to take this one's hard. I would not be betting on this one personally because we don't even know who the quarterback's going to be. Yeah. For the Browns, right?
We better know who the quarterback is.
I'm just saying, but I'm going to take the under. I'm going to take the under.
Okay, taking the under.
Well, you just
think,
make
Hanford?
it tough, don't you? You just make it tough. But I think you have a good point there. I think I'm going to take the under on that one too because obviously we have to come back and we have something to prove with this game. And San Francisco is San Francisco, and they're going to play tough. I'm going to take the under. I'm with you.
I don't do the betting, but I will tell you this: after a week off, I believe that Schwartzy's going to have that defense rocking and rolling. It's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be, a good football game.
And I think regardless of who's playing quarterback, right, with the 2 weeks to plan, it's a lot better than with 2 hours to plan.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? Like happened the previous game, so.
Like, let me tell you something. If Deshaun is not under center, hey,
we're gonna hear it. We're gonna hear it.
Hey,
we're gonna hear it from you.
Right.
You might have Angry Ken next week.
I don't want to hear no talking about he can't play or he's not able to play. You have to play. I mean, coach. I mean, what the hell's going on around
That's
here?
That's how it is. You know what? And if you can walk out there and if you can flip a coin, let's go play.
That's
That's what you got to do.
Maybe we don't even need Angry Ken. We'll just have Angry Hanford.
That's right.
now.
That's right. That's right. If he doesn't play, it will be Angry Hanford.
Angry Hanford. Okay, give us an anytime touchdown score for the Browns.
Blake?
I'm going to say Ford.
Okay, yep.
Mm-hmm. They got to run the ball.
They have to run the ball.
And if we don't run the ball, we're in bigger trouble.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, regardless of who's at quarterback, because that defense will just feast on us. You know what, guys? We have to be able to, obviously the run's going to set up the pass. First, we have to be able to run the ball, set up the pass. Cooper and those guys who didn't show up, I mean, Cooper's got to come through too. We need him get in the end zone.
Okay, yep. Cooper anytime and a Ford anytime. I like it. Should we go on to some other teams? Because I do want you guys to break down some other teams around the league, but we got a couple bets first. So let's cover the bets. We'll take a break, and then you can come back, and we'll recap.
Okay.
So let's do Giants plus 14.5 at Bills, over under 45. Do the Bills cover?
I think the Bills cover. I think they do. They're coming off a rough week. Obviously,
Right,
big
from London.
big loss. They lost, and the Giants just, I think the Bills cover, Blake.
Yeah, I think so too. All those things that you just said, we don't know. I mean, what's going on? I mean, Daniel Jones. Not that he's been able to even. He's been sacked. He's been sacked 18 times, literally in the last two games.
You wanted to say not that it matters.
Yeah. He went out at the end of last game injured, so we don't know who's playing. But right now they can't block the edge, and this is not the team that you want to not be able to block the edge. Von Miller back healthy,
and they're mad
too.
Yeah,
they're mad. So I'm gonna say Buffalo covers. Yeah.
All right. You know who else might be mad? The Cowboys. Cowboys at Chargers. So both of these offenses put up a lot of points. Will this game go over or under 48.5 total points?
I think it will. I think it will because this is going to be a bounce back game for the Dallas Cowboys, and they can't afford to lose another one. Obviously, Dak did not play well, and not only him. I'm not going to put it on him. I'm going to put it on the whole team. They didn't just show up. So I think they're going to get back. I'm going to go with the over. That's a lot of points, but still.
I'm gonna go with the over, and I'm gonna one up it and say it's an over, and Dallas is going to blow them out.
Wow, I like it
by
I
like
like
4
it.
scores.
I
Big
like it.
rebound for
I
you.
like it. I
Okay.
like it, my man.
All right, Blake. Well, let's take one more break. We'll come back. We'll recap, take a look at maybe some other games that caught our eye over the weekend right after this. Welcome back to the Hanford Dixon Show. I'm Gabriella Cruz. We got the top dog with us and Gregg Williams and Blake Williams in studio as well. Wanted to ask you guys about any other games that caught your eye over the weekend. One of the things that I know you do very well, Hanford, is the smack talk. Okay. I don't know if you saw, or I don't know if this was a Twitter rumor, but Joey Porter Jr., the Steelers, he made the interception in the Steelers game. Right at the end zone. Did you hear about the smack talk he told Odell?
No, I didn't. And
I guess
he's a rookie too. I
he's
think
a
he
rookie.
is. Yeah.
And apparently he barked at him, "Go be a family man," at the end of the game.
Damn.
I know. Them are some fighting words.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, Gab, you got to understand. You're
He
talking about.
got personal on him, I think.
Gab, you're talking about a cornerback, a defensive back, and whenever they started I have to be on his side right there because I know that's all I did was talk. I remember I talked about their mama, their daddy. their the girlfriends, wives, everybody. I just tried to get in that head, but after the game, obviously I'm gonna go to them, Blake, and I'm gonna shake your hand and say, "Hey, big dog, I hope you didn't mind, but I got to do what I got to do to try to get that advantage over you."
Mm-hmm.
But what he did,
I know. And G-Dub, I know that you like this one, George Kittle, and the little t-shirt thing.
Yeah, well, we talked about Ndochu raising up and showing his abs, on that. But now when Kittle on touchdown number 3 raised up and showed his T-shirt that said F Dallas, and it said okay. Oh my gosh! And it had to go viral, and I was laughing and laughing and laughing. And you know when you talk about Joey Porter Jr., that sounds like his dad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because his dad was major smack talker.
Yeah.
got it from his daddy.
I cannot believe that. Blake, did you see it?
The shirt?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw the shirt. He was dancing around right after his hat trick. I couldn't tell what it said at time, and you had to go back to social media to be able to zero in and see what it said. But it was too dark. He was too sweaty. But it was peak trolling.
I don't know if there was any smack talk in the Jaguars-Bills game, but what did you guys think of that?
Man, I was shocked. Because obviously we had some questions about the Bills early in the season because at the start of the season, we all said, hey, the Bills are the team to beat in the AFC. They're one of the teams to beat. And then things didn't go well for them. But when they put that whipping on the Miami Dolphins, where the Bills are back on track, you can't beat the Bills. I mean, they're the team again to beat. They're on top of the AFC. And then they come and they play Jacksonville and they lose against Jacksonville. And I don't want to hear this excuse because they were across the pond or wherever they played them at. It doesn't matter. Jacksonville had to make that trip too, Blake. So that's ridiculous. I can't believe they lost that football game.
No, I mean, I agree with you. When you're talking about the travel, I will say, having played that game multiple times, he has as well too. There can be some things, up in there. I mean, it's a long travel, but I think another thing is it's so they call one of the teams the home team, but you're both playing on the road, right? In another country, all those type of things. But
I didn't do enough homework when I made my bet.
I did not. I did not either. I thought this was going to be in Buffalo until the morning of, and I was like, oh, why is Buffalo playing at 9:30? Oh, because they're in London as the home team. But what I will tell you is what happens a lot of times is there's not the same, meaning one team may go over there for the entire week, and then another team comes over on Thursday or Friday, right? And so there's a difference in those travel schedules as well too. Having gone over for the entire week, I think there's a lot of things that I understand getting acclimated to the time zone change, but what about just the difference in food? What about the difference in your just normal routine? I mean, you don't do that on any other road game, right? So that it's weird. I'm as much as I love it over there, I'm not a fan of being over there for the entire week. I think that really disrupts people in especially the players who are really playing.
Blake, you're not saying no. That's one of the reasons that the Bills lost, right? Because the Jacksonville took the same trip.
Right.
They had to eat the same food.
Now, Jacksonville stayed over there. They played over the week before, and they stayed there the whole week. They had the whole, as far as the time change acclimation, but they were there for the whole week. But the same food, the same everything, I totally get that.
Because let me say this, that Coach, if you were taking your team, you had to play them. Okay, obviously Jacksonville were already there, but you had to take your team. I mean, would you take them few days early, or obviously I don't think you would take them 3 days before the game.
Belichick and I have talked about this over and over and over again about all this type of stuff is that I would have taken them real early, or you wait and try to make it within a 48 hours. And like Blake was talking about, is go over on Friday night and you're there Saturday and you play Sunday. And that part of it helps the mind and the body too. Okay, on the acclimation part of it. But that was kind of an in-between thing of what they did, what the Bills did, leaving and going over on Thursday.
I'm pretty sure right now the Baltimore Ravens are on a plane right now as we speak, and they're traveling because obviously we know they have a game across the pond. I think they're playing, is it who are they playing? Tennessee or somebody they're playing?
I don't know.
I want to say it's Tennessee. I could be wrong, but I want to say that's who they're playing. But they're on a plane. I know for a fact that they're leaving today, and they're going over, get acclimated to everything. So
that makes sense to me. You got to get acclimated. All right, we're running out of time, right, Boom? So we'll come back with our 2-minute warning right after this. All right, we are wrapping up the Hanford Dixon Show with the top dog himself, alongside Gregg Williams and Blake Williams, also in studio today. This is the first time we've had to advocate for a little, bleep machine to bleep out.
You didn't hear that, did you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we expected it from G. He's been on our radar ever since we had him join because we know his track record. But, you got to really tee up Hanford here like Blake did about if Deshaun plays, get y'all riled up.
Poking the big dog.
Well, Blake set me up for that one. He knew I was coming and I was getting ready to fire back at that one. So I couldn't help it to tell old school like me, that Blake, don't start.
It made my day because you started pedaling downhill, and I didn't feel bad at all about maybe bleeping something else later on.
Yeah, shout out to our producer, Michael Bohm. Also, happy belated birthday. He's going to have to do a little extra homework. Thanks to you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Yeah.
Man. Oh.
Yeah, we'll do a little clap. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a microphone, and we ran out of cameras, so we can't show a picture of his beautiful face. But we are giving him a little cheer here off camera.
Well, happy birthday, big dog. You are welcome.
All right, well, we got a couple extra minutes here. Anybody want to plug anything you want to get off your chest? No F-bombs for the rest of our show.
Blake, no events this week, huh?
Oh man, I can't even keep it straight. I just go event to event to event, but none this week.
Yeah.
Get a hang out with my son this weekend though.
Good.
Try to come bring him to his first tailgate, so
cool.
it'll be fun.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome. He's going. How old is
3
he?
years old.
Oh, he's
3 years old. Tasmanian devil.
And you know what? My biggest prayer in life was he'd have a son that was a bigger pain in the ass than him. And this one right now is just as strong-willed as his dad.
Coach,
and
wonder
when I
where we
said
got
that,
it from.
well, here's that. See, and immediately when I said it's like his dad, he says, "Well, it skipped a generation. It didn't come from me." So,
Coach, you trying to tell us that Blake maybe punished you a little bit when he was growing up?
yeah, I will tell you this now. His picture was in the dictionary next to ADHD. His picture was in the dictionary about stirring things up and doing things his way. And I think he still, every once in a while, gets in a fight with the mirror when he sees himself in the mirror. So that's how his son is the same way.
Well,
We think
guys,
he turned out okay.
guys, we got a big game coming up. We
Yeah,
got
we
a
do.
big game coming up. Those San Francisco 49ers, they're coming in here, and they're going to try to stay undefeated. Seriously, I'd like to hear from you guys. Any chance of beating this team?
Oh, I mean, think obviously there's always a chance, right? That's any given Sunday, and I think us coming off of the rest and the bye, 2 weeks, to prepare, and the fact that if done properly, if able to control the early down run game, even more so than play action pass game, the run game, and or if Kyle gets cued and gives a couple opportunities in the first 15, like the wide nine, especially with some of the athletes we have in the secondary and definitely the athletes we have up front, like we can cause some havoc.
I think it's a home run, Blake. If they got to be able to play the run, don't let them run the ball. Get them in some negative down in distances, and then let the big guys up front go hunt. And we'll see how Brock can handle the pocket with that right there. But they can't let the ball be run against them, and they've got to make sure they're controlling the down and distance.
I agree. And McCaffrey, I mean, we just have to be able to keep him out of the end zone because he's such a threat, such a weapon. I mean, this guy can, like we said, he can do it all. And Brock Purdy, I'm going to say it before we leave. I always say it. I don't care who the quarterback is or how well he's playing. When you you guys know this as well as anyone, when you put that pressure on him, he will turn into an average quarterback. And that's what we have to do. We have to put that pressure on Brock Purdy this week.
Hanford, give us the bark. Great show, guys. Thanks so much for being in studio, and we'll see you next time.